Okay, hello, welcome to what is probably gonna be the last segment of our tutorials on how to build your own bobblehead with everything 3D printed, spring included. Now, I did mention that in the last one that you can use set springs. So if you decide to use the springs, you can feel free to skip this part, but it's very important that you follow the same instructions we used in the last tutorial. Just use the measurements of the actual physical spring on hand. This will make things a little bit easier for you, and you can skip this part, but I'm going to show you how to do this quickly. I'm going to show you what our end goal is, and then I'm going to show you how to get there. So I'm going to import one I've already done over here. So this is a spring with supports. Now the reason we need supports, or the reason we're going to be making supports in this video, is because of the shape of the spring. Now a 3D printer will print from the bottom upwards, and notice there are gaps in these springs. So as it comes around, it prints the base. That should be fine, it's all solid. As it comes around here, you are left with an overhang. There's no support. And the problem is we cannot simply generate supports because we will need to cut them out. Now, the spring needs to be pretty thin so that it achieves the moving effect. So in order to get a successful print, we will need to build supports like this. You can see this one I built earlier. Not the most beautiful looking support system, but definitely an effective one, as you can see. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take this away and we're going to start it from scratch. So first thing I want to do is I want to drag out a cylinder. I want to change my width to 2 millimeters by 2 millimeters. And I'm going to make a few copies because I'll keep coming back and using them. So what I'm doing is I'm just holding down the Alt key and dragging out new copies. I think that should be enough. So we're going to start over here. And you can really start anywhere, because I mean it's a circle, there's no end or beginning. And what we're going to do is let's start from the top. I'll start from the top. I'll adjust the height and take another one, and I'm going to twist it. So make sure you have the right angle to get the, because what we want to do is we want to put this at an angle so that we may connect it to our spring. So effectively we are designing our own support system. Okay, so let's drop that down a little bit so it touches the top there. That works for me. You can change the length a little bit. So here's the other problem. We need to make sure that our length is the right length before we start, because it's very difficult to adjust length while we are busy with our project. So this does take a little bit of trial and error. It's important that you remain patient throughout. That works for me, and I'm going to just adjust the height over here. Now that I have that one, I can click on it and duplicate it the same way I did the previous one. So just Alt and Shift it down, and if it's a little bit, if there's an overlap, Let's just move it out. And I'd rather have the overlap come on this side than on the other side of the spring. We want to maintain the integrity of the spring. So what we're going to do is we're going to print these out and we're going to cut off these supports. So that works for me. Move it up a little bit. I'm just going to use the arrow keys to do that. Yeah, that looks good. And if you want, you don't even have to use these poles. You can actually just duplicate this. Oh, hold your Alt key down, drag it out, turn it around, and then change the positioning. We don't want the same positioning simply because we need to support it in different places as we move along. So this time I can delete the top one and bring the height down. Let's just double check that it's connecting with the spring. Should be some form of protrusion. That does this kind of overlap doesn't bother me. As you can see on the inside here, it doesn't really bother me that much. So long as we just don't change the shape too much, we'll be okay. Can adjust it slightly. So I mean, there's always also wiggle room where you can play around with the positioning and get some better results. Okay, this time I'm going to drag a new one out. So we're just going to keep repeating this process. Just try to hit different points. So like in the previous one, I hit the top, I'm getting this one, I'm just above, I'm getting the bottom one. So we're going to keep going around and around and around until we get it right for each little part of our spring. Don't forget Control Z is to go forwards and backwards. Probably the most thing I use the most in TinkerCAD, to be honest, is undo. So, yeah, make the connection and reposition it. Okay, let's add another one a bit higher up. Control Z that. Remember Alt and just drag out a new one. This one, I want it to be somewhere around here. And maybe one down there. Cool. So I'm not going to go through all of this. I want you to go through this yourself until you finally have a finished product that looks something like this or better than this. Okay? I don't want you to strive for the same, I want you to strive for better. So I'm going to show you the finished product over here again. And when you're ready, you can export that file, put it on a flash drive, or ask your teacher to grab it from TinkerCAD for you. And at this point, everything you have should be ready to print. So the next video is going to be just simply assembling it, and it's really simple. It's going to be easy. Yeah, hope you had fun. Can't wait for the finished product.